So this is what the finished installation of the Strata roof rack looks like. Ignore the little silver tabs kind of mounted on the side. Those are for the awnings. We'll cover those in a different video. Putting this together doesn't come with an instruction booklet, so it's kind of like trying to put together a piece of IKEA furniture without any instructions. And the directions on their video on their website doesn't cover everything, so hopefully I can provide a little extra guidance. At a minimum, you will need a 4mm and 5mm Allen wrench and a 13mm wrench to assemble the rack, and then you'll need a few other tools as well to prepare the body of the car for installation. First step will be installing the 8 feet brackets to the van itself. Here you can see a picture of the 8 feet and the seal brackets and the bolts and the washers that you will use to do that. On the van itself, you're going to find the 8 locations, 4 on each side, where you see this little indentation, and the bolt hole will be covered by this little kind of sticker. You're going to need to get that off with some sort of scraper. Peel it off. Most of them will have the bolt hole perfectly aligned, but unfortunately some of the holes will not be aligned very well, and you're going to have to trim off a little bit of the material. A couple different ways they can do this. Some people have a little tool called a nibbler, which I don't, but I did have a pair of these clippers, so I was able to just kind of carefully snip around the area of the hole that needed a little extra space. After a little bit of cleanup, screw fits in there nicely, and you're ready to start the install. So you're going to prepare each foot with the seal bracket, washer, and a screw ready to go. You're going to install it with the vertical part of the bracket facing out towards the outside of the car, away from the inside of the car. And I'm going to tighten it down somewhat snug, just enough so you can move around a little bit. I'm not going to do the final tightening until the whole rack has been assembled. I'm going to go back and revisit a little bit whether or not some additional sealant needs to be put in place here so that water doesn't get down right where the screw is. For installing the rails to the feet, you're going to need 16 of the M8 screws, 32 washers, and 16 of the nylock nuts. You can see here how I'm aligning the rails with the feet. I'm lining up the vertical holes. You can start with either the front rail or the rear portion of the rail. You're going to put it on the outside of the foot bracket with a screw and a washer on the outside and a washer and a nut on the inside. Once again, I'm going to just snugly tighten it just enough so it can move around a little bit, and I will fasten it completely towards the end. To connect the front and rear rails to each other, you're going to use the 2 X connector plates, 8 M8 screws, 16 washers, and 8 nylock nuts. You're going to connect the front and rear rail together with a screw and washer on the outside, and then the X plate and a washer and nut on the inside. These I will tighten completely, making sure that the front and rear bars are perfectly straight and level. To install the front fairing on the front crossbar, you're going to need 8 of the M6 screws, washers, and 8 T-nuts as well. You'll slide 4 T-nuts into the bottom and top of the rails of the front crossbar, and then you'll take the fairing with the screws and the washers and screw it into that and align it with each edge. There's a total of 6 crossbars, including the front one. So you're going to need 24 M8 screws, 24 washers, and 24 lock washers. So I started by installing the front crossbar with the fairing, and then I slowly made my way down the side of the vehicle, installing them in the desired location. As you'll notice, I was using electric tool. If you do that, just be very careful that you don't cross-thread it or that you don't strip it out. If you remember earlier in the video, there were several times I did not fully tighten everything. I want to make sure to get the crossbars on to establish the proper width. Then I tightened the rails to the feet height-wise. And then finally, I tightened the feet to the van. I wanted to make sure that there wasn't any kind of twist or torque on it. So went back, double-checked that all the screws were on tight, and then I was done. And it looks great. Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for the next video.